Before letters, before kingdoms, before even the gods had names, there were runes. They were etched into ancient stones, whispered in the wind, carved on the shields of warriors and deep within souls. But what if I told you that the runes of the Slavs, the Norse, and the Celts all whispered the same forgotten truth? This is the story of symbols that outlived entire empires and still speak to those who dare to listen. We often think of these ancient peoples as separate, isolated by forests and seas. The fierce Norse Vikings, the enigmatic Slavic tribes of the East, and the mystical Celts of the misty Isles. But their symbols, their deepest beliefs, they tell a different story. A story of a shared past, a common spiritual root that stretches back into the mists of time. Let's start our journey in the frozen lands of the North. Part 1. The Norse runes, the language of the gods. When you look at a Viking rune, you're not just seeing a letter. The Elder Futhark, the oldest runic alphabet, was a series of portals. Each symbol was a key to immense power. Think about it, the first rune, Fehu. It looks like the horns of cattle, and yes, it meant wealth, but not just gold. It was the power of creation itself, the fire of new beginnings. Then there's Ansurs, the rune of communication. It was said to be the very breath of Odin, the All-Father. And Tiwaz, the upward-pointing arrow. This was the rune of the sky god Tyr. It stood for honor, for justice, and for the ultimate sacrifice, the kind a warrior makes not for glory, but for his people. These weren't just letters. They were concepts, cosmic forces bound in a single mark. But where did such powerful magic come from? The legends say Odin himself, the chief of the gods, paid a terrible price. He hung for 9 agonizing nights from Yggdrasil, the world tree, pierced by his own spear, Gungnir. He stared into the abyss between life and death, sacrificing himself to gain the wisdom of the runes. They weren't invented, they were seized from the void, a gift from the cosmos. This divine origin made the runes sacred. They were the bridge between the world of mortals and the world of the gods. And this belief seeped into every corner of Norse life. A warrior wouldn't just sharpen his blade. He'd have a master-carved tiwaz or uruz, the rune of strength onto the steel, believing it would guide his strike and make him unstoppable. He wasn't just carrying a weapon, he was carrying a piece of a god's promise. It was his faith made manifest in iron. A seer Avölva wouldn't just give you advice. She would cast the runes, small pieces of wood or stone, each marked with a symbol, and read the patterns they formed. This wasn't fortune-telling like we think of it today. It was a direct conversation with the Norns, the weavers of fate. It was reading the cosmic tapestry itself. And it wasn't just for the high and mighty. Even a simple farmer, hoping for a good harvest, would carve Pertho or Gera, runes of luck and cyclical seasons, onto his plow or the beams of his barn. It was an appeal, a prayer etched in wood, asking the gods to bless the soil and grant life. From the king's throne to the handle of a wooden spoon, runes were everywhere. Because for the Norse, runes were alive. They weren't static symbols. Each line, each stroke was a whisper of destiny, a spark of divine power, a living connection to the magic that animates the world. The Norse believed you didn't just write runes, you awakened them. The act of carving, of speaking their name, of coloring them with your own blood, it was a ritual that brought their inherent power bursting into the physical world. They weren't just describing reality, they were actively shaping it. So the Elder Futhark was more than an alphabet. It was a philosophy, a magical system, and a way of seeing the universe all rolled into one. It was the Norse soul, written in stone and wood. But the story doesn't end in the frozen north. As we travel east, into the vast ancient forests of the Slavic peoples, we find different symbols, different names. And yet, the whispers sound strangely familiar. Are these echoes of Odin's sacrifice? Or something else entirely? Join me next time as we uncover the secrets of the Slavic runes, a system so mysterious and controversial that some scholars claim it never even existed. We'll explore whether these symbols were a lost language of their own, or a branch from the same ancient tree as their Norse cousins. The truth is far stranger than you can imagine. But two, the Slavic runes, symbols of nature and spirit. Imagine a world cloaked in mist, where ancient forests stretch as far as the eye can see. Sacred groves stand silent, their branches reaching up like gnarled fingers towards a sky split open by the blinding flash of Perun's lightning. This was the world of the ancient Slavs, a realm where nature and spirit were one and the same. We often hear about the Norse and their powerful Elder Futhark runes, carved on iron and stone, predicting fates and calling on gods. But travel east, into the heart of those misty forests, and you'll find that the ancient Slavs were having a similar conversation with the universe. They spoke to the same deep mysteries, not with the runes we know, but through something they called cherti irezi, literally lines and cuts. Now, here's the heartbreaking part of this story. Unlike the vast troves of Viking runestones, very few physical examples of these Slavic lines and cuts have survived the ravages of time and the deliberate destruction that came with new religions. They were often carved on wood, on birch bark, on things that were meant to return to the earth. So for a long time, many historians even doubted they existed at all. It was a whispered history, a forgotten language of the soul. But a system of belief, a way of seeing the world, doesn't just vanish. It transforms. The spirit of these ancient runes, these powerful lines and cuts, didn't die. It flowed into the vibrant and beautiful symbols that have been passed down through generations. Symbols you might still see today in Eastern European folk art, embroidery and jewelry. Think of the kolovrat. It's not just a sunwheel. It is the sun's eternal dance across the sky, a symbol of the endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. It represents the light that chases away the darkness, the warmth that coaxes life from the frozen earth. To wear it was to align yourself with the cosmic creative energy of the universe itself. Then there is Bereginia. She is often shown with her arms raised to the heavens, a powerful female figure. She isn't a warrior goddess in the typical sense. She is the fierce protector of the home, the guardian of the family, the spirit who watches over new life and ensures the harvest is plentiful. She is the embodiment of Mother Earth, the ultimate life-giver and defender. Her symbol was a shield for the soul, a promise of safety and abundance. And when the storms rolled in, when the sky roared with thunder, the Slavs saw the power of the god Perun. His mark, a six-petaled flower-like symbol enclosed in a circle, is often called the thunder mark or Perun's shield. It was carved into the beams of houses, not as a challenge to the storm, but as a sign of respect and a plea for protection. It was an acknowledgement of nature's immense power and a request to be shielded from its destructive force. You see, for the Slavs, these symbols, these echoes of the ancient runes, weren't just tools for magic or fortune-telling. They were a philosophy. They represented harmony, a perfect sacred union between humanity, the raw power of nature, and the divine spirits that lived in everything. A Slavic rune wasn't something you simply read like a letter in an alphabet. It was something you felt. You felt the heat of the fire, the life-giving flow of water, the whisper of the wind, and the solidity of the earth, because all of these elements had their reflection in the symbols carved on wood and worn close to the heart. And perhaps that's the most beautiful lesson they left us. Where the sagas of some cultures sing of glory, conquest and battle, the silent songs of the Slavic symbols speak of something else entirely. They sing of balance, of living with the world, not just in it. They remind us that we are part of the great turning wheel of nature, and our greatest power comes not from dominating it, but from understanding our place within its eternal, sacred dance. Part 3, the Celtic Ogham, the forest's alphabet. All right, so we've talked about the Norse runes, those powerful symbols of fate. But the Vikings weren't the only ones who saw magic in the written word. Travel with me now, away from the icy fjords and into the misty ancient forests of Ireland. This is the realm of the Celts and their own sacred script. Ogham, have you ever seen it? It looks strange at first, not like the letters you and I use. Ogham is made of simple lines and notches, usually carved along the edge of a standing stone or a piece of wood. It's often called the Celtic tree alphabet, and for a very good reason. Each one of those marks, each of those simple, elegant lines, represented a specific, sacred tree. Think about that, an entire alphabet born from the forest. It's an idea that's just breathtakingly beautiful. The first letter, Baith, is the birch tree. You know that slender white tree that's always the first to grow back after a fire? For the Celts, birch was the symbol of new beginnings, of fresh starts, of purity. It was the letter of endless potential. Then you have Duir, the mighty oak. If you've ever stood next to an ancient oak tree, you feel it, don't you? That sense of immense strength, of endurance, of wisdom that has weathered centuries. That's what the oak symbol meant. Strength, stability, a gateway to power and sovereignty. And then, on the other end of the cycle, there's Idad, the yew. The yew is an incredible tree. It can live for thousands of years, and it has this unique ability to regenerate, to grow new trunks from within the decaying old one. So for the Celts, the yew wasn't just about death, it was about the eternal cycle. It represented death and rebirth, the end of one thing and the sacred beginning of another. It was a symbol of immortality and connection to the ancestors. So who came up with this? The Druids, the Celtic priests, philosophers, and scholars held a deep belief about its origin. They believed Ogham wasn't just invented, it was a gift. A divine gift from the god Ogma, the honey-tongued god of eloquence, poetry, and learning. He was the champion of words, and Ogham was his divine language. And this is the crucial part. They didn't use it for mundane, everyday things. You wouldn't find Ogham carved on a market stall listing prices, or on a clay tablet recording a business deal. No, Ogham was for something far more profound. It was for spirit, it was for ritual. It was for marking a sacred grave, for casting a magical spell, for recording a lineage that stretched back into the mists of legend. It was a language meant to communicate not just with other people, but with the land, with the spirits, with the gods themselves. To the Celtic mind, the forest was the temple. The divine wasn't in some far-off, distant heaven. It was right here, in the whisper of the wind through the rowan leaves, in the steadfastness of the oak, in the rustle of the hazel branches. The divine was in the very earth beneath their feet. And their runes, these Ogham staves, they were like the branches of those sacred trees, reaching up from the earth, striving towards the heavens, connecting the worlds. So we have the Norse futak, carved from the well of fate. We have the ancient Slavic glagolitic, a script designed for a new faith. And now, the Celtic Ogham, an alphabet literally grown from the forest floor. 3 incredibly different scripts, from distant lands and different peoples. And yet, they all point to the same universal truth. A truth our modern world seems to have forgotten. That the word is a powerful act of creation. That a symbol isn't just a mark, it is spirit made visible. It's a way of taking the intangible, an idea, a prayer, a piece of magic, and giving it form, giving it a voice in the physical world. They knew that to write was to weave a spell, and to read was to unlock a soul. Runes, Ogham, and sacred cuts, each a spark of the eternal fire that burns in every age. They remind us that wisdom is not learned, it is remembered. And those who seek the symbols of the past may yet carve their own destiny.